There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Oh, what's up and welcome into episode number, oh my God, what episode number is this? 93? 3?
6?
Mark says 2, Matt says 3.
It's 2. Look at the outline number, gentlemen.
I know, but I think we have a
brother.
duplicate. I think
I think I agree. I think it's a duplicate.
Yeah.
Regardless, welcome to episode whatever number this
We're
is.
back. We're back.
Today is Thursday, October 19th. Be sure to like, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Trying to hit 2,000 subscribers. Help us out. Help us hit that
free.
goal.
It's
free. Costs you $0. We're dropping fire content for you people on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, on our YouTube channel, on programguys.com. You can find us as well. Also, we got
Not so much there right now.
Yeah, I know. We got our shirts in. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, look.
Some people did.
Some people are getting their shirts in. If
Yeah,
you
look at that
ordered a
shirt. Look at that shirt.
They're getting here.
Shirt.
They're
Look
getting
at the man
here.
inside
Here's
the
the
shirt.
back. Here's the back, man.
Damn,
There's
nobody's
the back.
bigger
All
than
right,
the
now
program.
Now flex. I'll flex for you. So check it out.
Looks so good.
Check your mailbox. Be on the lookout for the shirts. They should be arriving in the next few days for the people. So thank you for those who have ordered. If you haven't ordered a shirt, stay tuned. We got some stuff.
Eyes and
We're
ears.
game this
Eyes
Saturday.
and ears up.
Yeah,
All right,
eyes and
there's
ears
some
up.
Stuff coming.
We got, guys, massive show today. Just me, Mark, and Matt, but a massive show. OU against UCF on Saturday. We're going to preview that game. We also got UCF Insight from Daren Stoltzfus of WESH 2 in Orlando, Florida. He's the sports director down at a TV station down there, covers the Knights. I've learned they're not the Golden Knights, gentlemen. They're the UCF Knights. If you say,
here's another one.
Yeah,
I haven't listened. But did you call them Central Florida?
No, because I knew not to, but I told him. But I brought it up,
Oh, yeah.
and he thought it was as ridiculous as I did. So,
Oh my
yeah,
God!
it's
I'm gonna say Central Florida to anyone I see this weekend.
good.
Wait, what's
as
it
you
supposed
should.
to be?
It's so they want to
UCF?
be called UCF and not Central Florida.
That makes
They
no sense.
don't like Central Florida.
I don't
It's
know,
like
Matt.
if we said, "Don't call us Oklahoma."
But we are. That's a compliment.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
To
and there's
me,
only
I
one
mean,
of us.
That's right.
The problem is in the line of Florida schools, they're like number, 6 or 7. And
Sure.
there really is only one Oklahoma.
yeah,
That's right.
big facts.
Perspective.
Yeah. So we got that coming up for you guys. That interview with Daren. Stay tuned for that. Great interview and insight from him. He's been covering the Knights for I think like 5 seasons now. It's been a while. So he'll be in Norman on Saturday covering the game as well. So check out that interview when we get there. Boys, how we doing? Short crew here, but we're all happy to be here, right? Matt Gann?
The triple M's back at it. What more
That's
do you
right.
need? I mean, we miss Patrick and
course.
Ryan, but it's time for the triple M's to get their takes in. I mean, Patrick and Ryan take up too much of the show. This is what we needed today, right here.
Oh, classic. Okay.
While we're here, and
Yeah.
I've got the two of you specifically. Listen to the pod last week. Wonderful time. It was a blast. Matt, the Mark impression started strong, and then I feel like you just started
Yeah, it drifted. It
reading
faded. Yeah,
the
it faded.
247 lineup,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like that's not really my style. I like
Yeah.
to watch
Sure.
a little.
I didn't have enough
And,
dramatic pauses. No,
Well,
either,
and that's
so.
that was
Yep.
the second piece
Yep.
is Mason did a great job with those dramatic pauses. Just crushed it, man. Here's part of why I do it. I learned this trick. I don't know where I learned it, but somewhere a long time ago that if you just replace all of your uhs and ums with pauses,
That's a great point.
suddenly you sound so much better.
Yeah.
And I used to do a lot of uhs and ums. So here you go.
So do I.
I like that.
I
Hey,
do them currently.
Facts.
No, y'all are better
So-
than me.
No, not true.
Free
All right,
advice.
boys.
Free advice. Let's get it.
UCF, Oklahoma. Are
Hmm.
we jumping right into the game first, or did we have something else we wanted to hit on before we got into the game? I can't really remember.
Recruiting stuff.
Do we want to do recruiting before?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get some recruiting not out of the way because it's very important. There's some big recruiting news happening. Crystal balls dropping all over the place, but Mark is our recruiting insider. He's got some news for us to break down for the guys. Go ahead, Mark.
Absolutely. So obviously everyone's aware of Michael Boganowski committing today. If you are listening on Thursday the 19th, he's choosing between several schools, but there are crystal balls out the wazoo that he is going to end up at Oklahoma. One quick note, because I listened to last week's pod, we called him like a safety athlete, something like that. He's a linebacker. He's going to be a linebacker for Oklahoma. That's where he'll play if he comes in. Maybe you see people get moved around. I don't know, but he'll be a linebacker for Oklahoma. Another one that we've seen tons of balls come in through. Y'all touched on him last week. Eddie Pierre-Louis, 6'3", 335 from Tampa Catholic in Tampa, Florida. This dude is a big hunk of meat. He's a top 100 player everywhere that you look. And for me, I mean, you guys tell me, that was a little surprising for me when I really looked at who EPL is, because we're this late in the game and a lineman like that, an interior lineman like that, a game-changing interior lineman, there aren't too many of those, is still available, still on the board. That is awesome. I don't
it's credit to Bill Beanbo, in my opinion. I mean, I think that dude is never out of a fight, and guys want to play for him. Whether you believe it or not, guys love playing for Bill Beanbaugh, and they want to play for him. And that guy, when he's in a room recruiting, I guarantee you can recruit with the best of them. He's good at what he does for sure. And EPL, man, I'm excited about it. When you said there's crystal balls dropping all over the place, you are not wrong. I just scrolled through a little Twitter feed of him. I saw like 5 in the like 20 seconds I scrolled his name, and like, dude, they're all over the place.
They came in gangbusters for both he and Boganowski after U Texas last week.
Yep.
And hey, love to see it. Love to see it. A couple other guys that we have on the list. Grant Bricks. This dude is 6'6", 300 gigantic pounds. And the whole story with him is he's a corn-fed, down-home farm boy who doesn't really want to come 8 hours away to Oklahoma. But if you want to be the best of the best, this is where you're going to land. I think that's why you're starting to see the balls come through for him as reality sort of sets in. Hey, do you want to make all that money so you can retire on a farm, or do you just want to not be the best you can be and go to like Nebraska?
Yeah. I'm with you.
Matt, what do you think about a gigantic, talented guy whose heart might not be in football, having to make that kind of a tough decision? Just the personhood of it, that's a tough call, man.
Yeah, especially when I was going to give a recap, too, of breaking down this class. The average distance right now for the 24-25 commits is over 920 miles. So that's showing that this recruiting staff is getting out there, and they're taking guys from all over the place. And this could be another example.
Take Daniel Akinkumi out of that. You're killing me with that.
Sure, I think that's the one. I don't know if that is counted in there. I mean, sure, that's a pretty big outlier. Regardless, you take that away, we're still getting people from Florida and all over the country, and Grant Bricks could be another guy, especially for what BV is looking for, a guy in the trenches to play. This is exactly what we wanted. We've gone away from this speed D of getting guys who are 270, 280 pounds, not just getting bullied on both sides of the line, and we're not seeing that this year. I mean, guys are so much more bigger, so much more physical, and you're seeing why we had really great improvement, especially on the defensive line. And I know the offensive line will get there with some of these more guys coming in.
Can't teach speed. You can't teach size, or you can't coach size. And if a dude is massive, that's just a ball of clay, like you said, Matt, that can form into the defensive line that this team wants and shows is effective.
And lastly, this is my favorite of the bunch.
Ooh.
This is the guy. I've been on him for a while now. 6'4", 215-pound linebacker athlete. He plays wide receiver in high school, but that's just because all of the guys that we recruit to play linebacker and defensive end play wide receiver in high school now. It's so a good thing, not a bad thing. Yeah, it's great.
Unfair.
6'4", 215-pound Marcus James out of Carl Albert High School. Just from reading the tea leaves, he seems like a favorite of head coach Brent Venables. And if you're a favorite of Brent Venables, you're a favorite of mine.
Yep.
Marcus James is committing on November 2nd. And shortly before recording, I dropped a crystal ball that he will come to the Oklahoma Sooners. And I really think that he is headed this direction. He knows his future is at linebacker, and he knows who the best linebacker coach in the country is. Can't say he's going to always land there, but I know that November 2nd, the Oklahoma Sooners are getting that commitment. He is good, and I think he knows where to go to be his best.
He's got to join his 5 other teammates from Carl Albert that are coming to Oklahoma. You know what I mean? It's
the Kevin Sperry operation, man.
Dude.
It's incredible.
Also, we talked about this. I don't think we brought this up on the pod or anything, but Dylan Gabriel last Friday going to that Carl Albert game and supporting Kevin Sperry and his team and stuff like that. That was cool to see, man. That's dope. That's the kind of stuff you don't, it's above and beyond, you know, it's bigger than the program. It's cool, man. Or not bigger than the program, but it is the program.
It's bigger than the game. The program is bigger than the game, and Dylan is getting that this year in a way he didn't get it last year, where, you know, he's showing out to stuff and he kicks the shit out of Texas. And I think it was someone on the unofficial 40 that said, man, he might get a statue next to like Sam Bradford. What the like we gotta set the mind frame. I know. Like Dylan Gabriel's in that air, and now he's really carrying himself like it too. It's cool to see. It's a good thing to see. That changes everyone's minds. You know, that gets everyone on your side. That Carl Albert kid, Devin Jordan, who doesn't know if he's going to go to Oklahoma. Tristan Haynes doesn't know if he's going to go to Oklahoma. Hey, man, it helps to see the possible Heisman winning quarterback on the sideline. I've 100%. Talked a lot. I've got about nothing else for the recruiting piece, but ball down for Marcus James. Matt, you look like you had something to add. Get it, baby.
I just had one thing to wrap up. So far, what this recruiting class looks like without some of these guys committing already. So according to 24on3 industry, their Oklahoma ranks number 10 overall, 25 commits, 14 offense, 11 defense, 1 5-star in David Stone, 12 4-star, 11 3-stars. I think there's probably potentially 1 or 2 more guys that potentially could get their 5th star. I'm really thinking of Danny Okoye. I think he's got the ability to do so. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 guys that can really propel themselves. And obviously with some of these guys coming down the line, this could easily be a top 6, top 5 recruiting class as this recruiting staff continues to work. And they've just been working like dogs behind the scenes. And obviously you're seeing why Oklahoma is getting a lot of these guys, and hopefully more to come.
For sure. I don't have anything
100%.
Else on the recruiting front.
And well, the only thing I'm going to say is, you know, if it's flip season coming up, when we actually get to National Signing Day, and I know that National Signing Day is a while from now, but you know, Dominic McKinley signed where? I don't know that he's going to be staying there. And I don't know that Oklahoma is where he ends up, but I don't think he lands in College Station. And Williams Ranieri keeps on wearing Oklahoma stuff. That's not an accident. It's an accident, maybe once or twice, but you know, people are in his head about it, and he's still doing it. So I don't expect him to flip, but there could be some fireworks for the Oklahoma Sooners coming down the stretch, especially if you keep winning.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk on that later, but especially if you keep winning, man, you've already got the foundation.
100%. Let us know down below in the comments what you think of the recruiting updates that we just gave for the people. Anybody on that list that we just mentioned who you have your eye on, who you would want, or like Mark said, anybody that you would want to flip to Oklahoma. That would be super fun. Let us know down below in the comments. We read every single one of those from you guys. Okay. OU UCF time, right? Is it time now?
Boomer.
Okay. OU UCF. Oklahoma, number 6 in the country. We 6 now? Yeah, 6 in the country. OU number 6 in the country according to the AP poll. Welcome in UCF. Oklahoma, a 19-point favorite as of Wednesday night. As of Wednesday night is what I have in front of me, Mark. So that's what I'm rolling with. This is going to be a test. Both of these teams coming off of bye weeks. UCF coming off of a loss to Kansas, 51-22 in Lawrence, got absolutely dusted. But UCF getting their starting quarterback back, John Rice Plumlee, he'll be back. I had Daren Stoltzfus.
He said Rice.
He said Rice. He said John Rice Plumlee.
The homie. Hey, we'll listen to him.
Yeah. So they're gonna get him back this week. It is confirmed by Gus Malzahn. He's going to play. we went into UCF stuff with Daren in the interview that we'll play right after this, and you guys will get your UCF takes and stuff. So really, I want us to kind of focus on Oklahoma and how Oklahoma can win this game, guys, and what they need to do to win this game. So we'll start on the offensive side of the ball, and just what do you guys both think that on the offensive side of the ball, Oklahoma needs to do to come out on top in this win? Matt, we'll start with you, brother. What do you think?
Yeah, I think just like in the Texas game, we got to strike first. We got to punch them in the mouth quick. And this UCF team just gave up 400 yards on the ground to Kansas. I think this is the game where our run game really just needs to be established. We really need to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, but especially offensively. I mean, Kansas has some good running backs, and it's going to be a good game when we play them in Lawrence. But they just gave up 400 plus yards on the ground. That's where my focus is going to be. Can our offensive line get going? Because they've done really good in pass protection, not so much on the run blocking scheme. Can we get one of these guys going? Tywee or Marcus Major, whoever it is, someone step up and let's get a couple guys over 100 yards, or at least one guy. I mean, let's do that for the first. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Obviously, DG playing against his alma mater, as well as Jeff Levy. I think DG is going to come out. It's going to be another emotional game, just like it was for Texas playing his former team. I think just starting out, executing on those first couple of drives, getting up 14, 21 points, whatever it might be, but establishing the run game, I think is going to be key for me. Can we even do that against a team that just gave up so many yards 2 weeks ago?
I agree with your assessment on the run game because, like you said, 400 yards against Kansas. They allowed like 280 yards against Kansas State in a loss. They allowed 29 straight points to Baylor, basically running the football. This UCF team is not good on the run defensive side of the ball. So Oklahoma, if there's going to be a week that you figure out your running game and your running backs, this is the week. Like, this is how you figure this out. And whether it's Tawee Walker, whether it's Marcus Major or one of the younger guys, I want to come out of here knowing who the featured back is, man. I can't stand this constant cycle of rotation and living in flux, like not knowing what it is. It's weird to me. But yeah, the running the ball, Matt, to your point, is going to be the biggest factor for me because Dylan's going to be able to throw the ball and throw the ball effectively, and he's going to be motivated. There's no doubt about it. He's going to be motivated because you'll hear Daren later. He left UCF on his terms, but there was some chatter of UCF people not being the biggest Dylan Gabriel fan. So he's definitely got something. Yeah, they got some stuff. Dylan has some stuff to prove to those UCF fans for sure. So I think Dylan's going to come out and play a great game. So really it's going to be dependent on the run game.
So I'm going to zag.
Yeah, please do.
Please.
One name we haven't mentioned yet is wide receiver Andrell Anthony, out for the entire season.
Yeah.
And
thanks for bringing it up.
I would like to see this game be a chance to rotate receivers into that sort of outside X receiver role that Andrell has occupied. You know, give Nick Anderson some reps. Put Jaleel there and put Nick over here. I don't care how you do it, right? But figure out that wide receiver rotation a little bit against a team that has given up on average about 28 points a game and just got rolled by a team much worse than you, who was also missing their starting quarterback, right? Jalen Daniels isn't back yet. That's Jason Bean. So I want to see us really let loose through the air. And I got to tell you, man, commenters got to me and the Texas game got to me. And while I think it'd be wonderful to get some of the young bloods in there, get Caleb Hicks some reps, get Dalen Smothers some reps, I'm not really trying to keep on pounding a square peg into a round hole with the run game, as far as hoping Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk are going to be healthy when they're not. Yeah. What we're going to get is Tawee Walker and Marcus Major. It's what we're going to get. And look, I'll stake my claim that Tawee Walker is the guy for me. He does everything right, just about. He's the one who dropped that touchdown near the goal line. I messed that up live in the pod, but he just does everything right. He's just not explosive. And unfortunately, that's where we're at in the running back room. I want to see so much wide receiver rotation that I think I'm kind of the reverse of you guys. I think we'll get our customary Tawi and Marcus. I need to see more experimentation with the offense, unless Jeff Levy just knows what he's doing coming out of the bye week and who he's rolling with. Yep. That would be refreshing too. But I want to open this up to you guys. I mean, I think we have to figure out that passing game going into, I think UCF's a great opportunity to do so. And then going into the back piece of the schedule, who can you rely on? Because like Jaleel had his best game of his Oklahoma career last game.
Yeah.
Andrell Anthony also had a pretty good game last game.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a vacuum there. Matt, if I just threw it to you and you can't say Nick Anderson, who would you put? Who would you want to see occupy some of the, because Nick is going to fill 40-50% of that void, right? There's no way he can't.
Yeah, I would say maybe a combination of Jacquez Petaway. We saw him a lot earlier this year. I really like what we've seen from him, as well as, I mean, Jaden Gibson. I keep going to that ball he dropped in the Texas game, but he's just a freaking tree out there. He is huge. He's big. He's physical. I think you got to give a guy a little bit of rotation to fill that void because it is a big loss. I mean, Andrew Anthony was the best wide receiver so far in that room. So you're going to have to do a wide receiver committee to really fill that void. And I think a little bit more of Jaden Gibson, a little bit more Jacquez Petaway, doing 3 wide receiver sets. Because I said this on last week's pod when we were doing the positional grades. I'm done with the tight end room. Take them off the field. Put in 3-4 wide receivers if you have to. They are just much, much better currently than this tight end room. So that's what I would like to see. Get a little bit more action.
Yeah, for me, it's Jaden Gibson. I want to see him. I've seen enough out of him to know what I have, and it's a guy who can go up and get the ball. And yeah, he dropped the ball against Texas. That I get it. That's fine. That's kind of been his issue, right? For his entire OU career thus far, is he sometimes drops some passes. But I'd rather play the law of averages and try to feed him some more. And if he drops 1 but catches 5 really good ones, I can live with that. I can live with that sometimes. So Jaden Gibson's the guy who I would look to fill that void. I think what they're going to do is what Matt said and just play it by committee and play like 3 different guys in that position, whether it's Jacquez Petaway, whether it's Jaden Gibson, or whether it's somebody else.
Well, and I don't
Thompson
think
as well.
Necessarily. Oh yeah, Brennan Thompson.
Brennan Thompson
we haven't mentioned adds a dimension that we've only really seen that one time in what game was that, guys? Before Texas, whatever.
Oh yeah, what game was that? There was Iowa State.
Brennan Thompson just taking the top off the defense there. Maybe that's something we turn to a little bit more. I think that they're going to do some kind of rotation too. I think that it has to be. I'd love to see Petaway get a little bit more involved, but that's really just probably mostly wishful thinking, because when you look at it, Jaleel is still going to get his snaps. Drake Stoops is still going to get his snaps. We haven't mentioned Gavin Freeman, but he's on the field. He gets on the field and he takes those reps. So that's what I'm looking for from the offense for this game. While we're here, just real fast, I'm going to run through it. Quarterback A, running back C, wide receiver A+, O-line A-, tight end incomplete, and Mason, I love your withdrawn. That's it.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you.
That was so good. I want them just like off the field too.
And offensive line A+, is that what you said?
A-, he said. A-.
Wide receivers A+.
Wide receivers A+.
Okay.
That's good. The last thing I have on the offensive side of the ball is, do you know how disrespectful it is in this day and age for a team to go out there and throw 12 passes against you just because that's how much they don't respect your run defense? Because that's what Kansas did last week or 2 weeks ago. Jason Bean threw the ball 12 times. He threw the ball 12 times and he threw for 91 yards, but they ran for 400. That is so disrespectful to just say, we're not even going to bother throwing the ball because I know you won't stop us. Welcome to the Big 12, UCF. You're in for a rude awakening. I think this is a big day on the ground for OU. I really do. I think it's easily pushing 300 yards and maybe closer to 350.
I hope so. I'm not sure we got those horses this year is sort of where I'm at with it.
That's fine.
I think we have some awesome thoroughbreds, but they're a little young on the circuit, and what we have now, they're more like they carry the schooner. They're just they pull the schooner. These are big dogs, you know.
Yeah. I'm with you. A little horse racing talk there. I like it.
Ooh, we bring you a lot here.
Yeah, Matt Gannon, anything else to add on the offense before we move to the defensive side of the ball?
I'm ready to switch over.
Okay, defensive side of the ball. UCF comes in with the number one offense in the Big 12 in terms of total yardage per game. They're a very balanced offense. They're about I think they throw for 280 in the air, and run for 250 is their average.
Yeah, 270,
246. Thank you. So they're pretty balanced. Like I said, they're getting their quarterback back in John Rice Plumlee. So they'll be fired up to have him back. I still don't even think that it's enough. I just don't. I don't think that they can score. Not only do I think they're outmanned, UCF outmanned, I don't think they can score the way that Oklahoma is going to score to even be competitive. Like, if you're UCF, you're going to have to put up 30 points just to be competitive. And I personally don't think they can do that. Not against this defense. They may be able to score more than 20. I don't think they score more than 30. And that's the only way you're going to be competitive. So that's what I see. And also, you're seeing Plumlee come back. This defensive line showed 2 weeks ago how productive they can be, how aggressive they can be. You know he's coming in a little banged up. He has the tendency to play banged up, and when he does play banged up, doesn't play very well. Stay after him. Keep your foot on the gas. Get fresh legs in there. I want to see a bunch of rotation on the defensive line, because getting pressure on Plumlee and getting him on the ground, he's a runner. Don't make no mistake about it. He's going to try to get out of the pocket and make something happen with his legs, because that's the kind of quarterback he is. But if you can hunt this guy down and get him on the ground and get him on the ground often, that's going to help out your defense and your offense in turn so much.
His last start, if I'm looking at Google right, came in week 2 against Boise State at Boise State.
Like a 19-18 win or something like that.
18-16.
But
you're very close.
That was close, yeah.
I just don't think a guy like that gets his sea legs under him for his first game back against this Oklahoma Sooners defense. I think that, sort of to your point, we're going to see more of that tenacity in the front 7 on these passing downs and continued excellence in the secondary. And look, John Rice Plumlee is a good quarterback. He transferred to UCF and won that starting job for a reason. And also there are multiple award winner kind of players on this defense this season that are playing like it. And not to give the whole game away, but I don't think that we allow too many points on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Matt?
Yeah, when we were doing our preview pods for the season, I actually picked UCF to be the best new coming team because of.
I don't think you were alone in that. Yeah,
either. Because of Gus Malzahn, obviously former Auburn head coach, moving to UCF and having a 5th-year starter.
Some interesting stuff out there about Gus.
Yeah, that's what I've heard through the grapevine, right? But this is why I chose UCF, because of their coach and because having a 5th-year starter in Plumlee. If you think about when they were in the American Conference back in 22, which probably was his best season, completed 63% of his passes, over 2,500 yards, 14 touchdowns to 8 picks. But he also had over 159 carries for almost 900 yards as well, with 11 touchdowns. So that's his best year that he's had. That's why I thought they were going to be the best team. Obviously, injuries have prevented that, and now they're 0-3 to start the Big 12, and also the other newcomers are also struggling themselves. But this is what I worry about. We haven't played a true dual threat this year, and he's going to have to use his legs quite a bit. And I'm really interested to see how we're going to scheme up. If we have a guy that's going to spy him more often, maybe that's Danny, maybe that's JK7, but keeping him in the pocket, not letting him escape and using his legs. I think we're able to do that. then definitely it's going to be a lower scoring game for them. And I think we're easily going to put up a bunch of points against this defense.
I think it's interesting you brought up the spy point because I think it's a good point. And you mentioned Danny and JK7. If I had my choice, I'd pick JK7 just because I think Danny's the better player. I don't think there's any question that JK7 is the better athlete. And in terms of his pursuit and being able to chase him down, you disagree?
Danny Sussman is such an incredible athlete. Yeah, I do disagree.
Okay, that's fine.
I do.
I think
That's
JK7 is a better athlete.
I think JK7 has certain instincts that are incredible though. And to your point, putting him as the spy, he knows how to like chase down a quarterback innately in a way that Danny's really great chasing down running backs and tight ends and, being in coverage. For some reason, rushing the passer.
Yeah.
He isn't quite as dynamic as Jaren, I think. So,
but also to that point, Danny's so important to the whole of the defense that just making his job spying the quarterback would be doing your defense a disservice. Like Danny has to do so much more than just do one job and to spy the quarterback. Like he's so important to the defense as a whole, what they do, and he's in every single thing that they do. He can't just be pigeonholed to be the spy. You know what I mean?
Well, and Brent doesn't run a defense that way. It'll be if we choose to spy, let's say we spy him every play, you'll see 20% of that is Danny and 40% is Jaren and 15 is Peyton Bowen and the rest is just like other dudes, right? Like he's going to disguise this stuff and he's going to run it such that a dude who's never played Big 12 football before is going to be lost.
Yeah. The last point I have on UCF offense versus OU's defense is I'm going to call out the fans because we're going to get UCF's best shot. Make no mistake about it. They're new to the conference this year. They haven't won a conference game. They join the conference and get a shot at the top dogs. You are going to get their best shot. It is going to be up to the fans to make it as difficult as possible to be able to communicate in that stadium. Make no mistake, they played at Bill Snyder Family Stadium at Kansas State. They played at Lawrence. Those are their 2 conference road games so far this season. It ain't Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. It ain't nearly 90,000 people screaming at you. The crowd has to be electric. The crowd has to be into it. It's an 11 a.m. kick. I understand everything that goes into that, and we can bitch and moan about 11 a.m. kicks till we're blue in the face. But the fact of the matter is, this is why we're leaving. There's no point in bitching about it anymore. This is what we got. Show up, be loud, be proud, and make it difficult for this team because I can promise you, if you go out there, like Matt said, and you punch them in the mouth and you're up 14-0 in the first quarter, and they come out there and they have a turnover or can't communicate well, it's over. It's a wrap. You're already in their head and it's done. They don't have the intestinal fortitude to last with you guys round for round. They just don't. So in the game early, get it done, punch them in the mouth, be loud, and make them uncomfortable.
It's a good point, especially when, if we think 11 a.m. games are just disappearing from the schedule, we're smoking something a little stronger than we should be smoking because just being in the SEC doesn't get you away from the 11 a.m. games. Ask the current SEC teams. That said, a home game, 11 a.m., we're used to that, baby. And coming off of an OU Texas as exhilarating as any we've ever watched, those stands better be full by, 11 a.m., I get it, kick. But by the end of the first quarter, that shit better be popping.
Yeah.
That shit better be loud. And frankly, if I'm going to be hyped enough to do the thing, then there's no reason why the student section shouldn't be twice as much as I am. There's just no reason.
Big facts.
Matt, call out the student section in your way. In your best way.
Part of the fans is going to be me and you, Mark. So Mason's essentially calling us out to get there early, get on campus, get the crowds going. Because I know I'll be in the stadium nice and early, see the pump-up videos, see the Sooners run on the field. Because this is an exciting time. Being 6-0, coming off the year we did last year, beating Texas in a very emotional game. I want to see how this team comes out and reacts, especially after having a bye week. Can they get their emotions under control and come out and really just smack UCF in the face early and often? And we are getting some secondary depth back with Connie Walker and Makari Vickers as well. So the bye week always helps with some of those injuries. Really looking forward to seeing those guys really shut down the UCF wide receivers and hopefully shut down this entire offense as well.
Perfect. Let us know down below in the comments what you expect out of the matchup. Now, folks, we have
one thing that I forgot to say during the offensive piece.
Yep.
I really hope we take it to Derek LeBlanc. Continue.
Yeah, okay. I hope we do too. All right, now we welcome on a very special guest. It is Daren Stoltzfus of WESH 2. He talked to us about UCF and what he's seen from the Knights so far this season. Very fun interview. Check it out right now. 3, 2, 1. We now welcome on a very special guest, Daren Stoltzfus of WESH 2 News in Orlando, Florida. He's the sports director down there, covers the UCF Golden Knights. Daren, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us.
I'm good, man. I'm going to stop you there before the UCF faithful get going. Not Golden Knights anymore. You start saying that, you start saying Central Florida, everybody's going to lose their mind.
I was about to say, I can't say Central Florida. I can't say Golden Knights. What can I say?
And whatever you do when you move here in 2019, definitely do not advocate for a group of 5 playoff, because then people are going to be really angry with you. But hey, times have changed. The Big 12 conference is here, and the Knights of UCF are charging on to Boomer Sooner Saturday. It's going to be interesting. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. So I wanted to talk to you about obviously you cover the Knights in full. Knights started off the season very strong, looked really good. The offense looked great. And then the wheels kind of fell off when Big 12 play started. What have you seen of the Knights the past 3 games?
Well, part of it was when John Rice Plumlee went down. They're a different team when he's not healthy. And it's easy to say, hey, the starting quarterback's not in there. They're different play calling. They're different. Just the way that they do personnel, they're different in every aspect of the game, different with confidence. So I really like their backup quarterback, actually. Timmy McClain, he went to a high school right outside of Orlando. He transferred in last year after the season had started, or after the school year had started, from South Florida. So he wasn't able to do anything but practice all year, but he has, the knowledge to be able to play. But when John Rice Plumlee is healthy, we saw it last year, he's a dynamic runner. And when he's a dynamic runner, he just opens things up in that offense in a completely different way. And even though Timmy McClain is a very good runner, he does some things that I think makes the coaching staff a little uncertain, because he's a little bit unpredictable, which I would think would be a good thing for a defense. But, without JRP at his full strength, I mean, they were lost at Kansas on Saturday. They were lost defensively, which is a whole different story. But offensively, they just couldn't do anything last Saturday. It really was a mess. And I think a lot of that was tied into thinking JRP's fully healthy, here he comes, and then he wasn't. So we'll see what happens. They say he's going to start Saturday. They say he's as close to 100% as he's been in a long time. He likes to play even when he's banged up, but we'll see how effective he is Saturday.
Both of these teams coming off of a bye coming into this game. I wanted to ask you about Gus Malzahn and just the Gus Malzahn tenure here at UCF. What have you seen from this program when he got there to maybe the growth to where they're at now? Is it a good growth, a bad growth? What's your idea of it?
It is a different growth. Josh Heupel was the head coach when I got here, and you've seen what he's done at Tennessee. Probably completely different strategy from Gus Malzahn. He talked about going fast on the offensive side of the ball, but the best example I can give you is there were regularly games with Josh Heupel as the head coach that lasted 4.5 hours. They took forever. With Gus Malzahn, we saw a game against Navy. Again, it's Navy, but get done in 2 hours and 45 minutes. So they're playing a different style of football. And I think what Gus brings is that big mentality. Now, whether or not we've seen that exactly on the field, 9 wins both of his first 2 seasons. He looks like 9 wins is not going to happen this year. But if you look at his track record, I mean, the guy's I think he's had 2 seasons where he's lost 5 or more conference games. Now, granted, that was the SEC and then the 1 year with Arkansas State, but he doesn't lose conference games. So to start 0-3 in the Big 12 it's a little stunning. He told me before the season, they felt like they were going to avoid a lot of the missteps that teams have when they transfer conferences. They thought they had the depth on the line, and that was going to be the biggest thing. But linebacker depth has been an issue. The swagger is there of a big time program, but UCF's always thought they were big time. So I don't know that Gus brought that here.
They're coming into Norman on Saturday. They're going to be in a big time environment, nearly 90,000 people in that stadium, but UCF's no stranger to playing big opponents, right? Like they've had big teams on the schedule. Now this is their one shot to play at Oklahoma. Does this game feel different for in your mind at all? I mean, yeah, they played Baylor and they played Kansas and they played some other Big 12 teams, but I mean, this is who you want a shot at if you're UCF.
Yeah, to me, this is the biggest game on the schedule for them. And I get they played at Kansas State, and that was a great environment, sellout crowd. That was their welcome to the Big 12 moment. But playing against Oklahoma, they don't get Texas this year, and obviously Oklahoma's going off to the SEC. They're the number 6 team in the country. They are the biggest brand that they will see. And UCF claims of a national championship and all their accolades and what they've done with a 13-0 season. They haven't had to line up against schools like Oklahoma. And I think, they beat Auburn in that Peach Bowl before they claimed the national championship. That was huge. That wasn't in the middle of October. This is, you're coming off 3 straight losses. You do have the bye week. So I think that helps UCF a lot. But to have to raise their game up in the middle of the season to play a team like Oklahoma, this is huge. I mean, that's why we circled that on the schedule, said, hey, we will be there. We were only able to go to 2 road games. We went to the opener and we're coming to Oklahoma. And I think, even though the 3 losses have happened, and even though they are a 19.5 point underdog at this point, this still feels like the ultimate measuring stick for UCF.
All right, Daren, I have to ask you the Dillon Gabriel of it all, right? I mean, it's got to be a big storyline, and especially and Jeff Lebby as well, for that matter. But is there any? I guess as an OU fan, you don't really know if there's any hostility towards Dillon Gabriel from the UCF faithful. What's your take on that?
Losing a quarterback to the transfer portal is nothing new for UCF. I looked, they have 4 starters in college football that are not starting for UCF at quarterback. Dillon Gabriel's one of them. The thing with Dillon was when Mackenzie Milton kind of handed the reins over to him as the, here's the UCF offense. The 2 guys from Hawaii, they had such a great relationship. Mackenzie was coming off that awful knee injury, had to rehab forever. It really felt like they're passing the baton to the future of the program. Then McKenzie transfers to FSU. Nobody's really that upset. Well, when Dillon Gabriel gets injured, sits out all of Gus Malzahn's first season, there are questions of could he come back? Was he keeping his eligibility? The exit just seemed quite unexpected. He commits to UCLA, then he goes to join Jeff Lebby at Oklahoma. He was selling socks all the time with his face on it. It was the early days of NIL. I know that sounds so silly, but UCF fans bought in, and they bought in hard. And he had his own brand with the pinstripes, the black and gold, DG, the brand. He was on the forefront, really, of trying to get his name, image, and likeness out there. And UCF fans loved it. And when he left, they felt like that was a personal slight. I don't think it was. He's doing what was best for him. But now you're lining up in the same conference for 1 year. It really does show. I think there's going to be a little bit of extra. I don't know that bad blood is. I don't know that anybody with a rational thought process is wishing ill on Dillon Gabriel. I think it's just kind of you're seeing the X that's doing well for themselves, and he's going to want to throw for like 10 touchdowns and run for another 4. I think he's going to be motivated for sure.
Yeah, I guess that was the second part of my question is, do you think there's any bad blood for Dillon? I feel like there can't be. I feel like he had a good experience there, and he left Oklahoma for a better opportunity, right?
I think there was a vocal minority of UCF fans that did not like him when he left. And it was, he can't win the big game.
I feel like there's a minority of Oklahoma fans as well. It's weird. I don't get it, but it's all right.
There's a vocal minority of pretty much every fan base, I feel like. But the he can't win the big game argument. And obviously last week or 2 weeks ago against Texas, he kind of shut those fans up, whether they're in crimson or if they're in black and gold. And I think he's always had the talent. But when he came in as a freshman, his first start for UCF was kind of out of the blue. They had Brandon Wimbush, who transferred from Notre Dame, who was supposed to be the end-all, be-all. Things didn't go quite as they expected with him. Dillon starts, or I don't even know if he had to start against FAU, but comes off the bench maybe against Florida Atlantic and Boca and just lit the place up. And I mean, he was the future. I think that's part of the problem is when you have a hot X, you don't want to see them go anywhere else. You want to hang on to that. And if they have success, they have it with you. Or if they don't have success, you want to see it with you. So to see him go and do good things, I mean, this guy could be a Heisman Trophy contender by the end of the year. I think that's the root of it. I don't think it's bad blood at all, but I think Dylan heard that. You can't in 2023, 2022, whatever it is, with Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, it's nonstop. And whether it's from traditional media or not, you're going to hear those comments and you're going to think to yourself, okay, how do I want to respond to this? And he's had plenty of time to think.
Darren, the last thing I got for you is UCF comes in. What is besides winning the game, what will UCF walk out of Norman feeling good about what they did? What's the bar? Is it like a competitive game in the fourth? Is it, holding the Oklahoma offense to their worst output of the season? Like, what do you, in your mind, or do they have to win the game to even feel any sort of good at all?
Oh, you're breaking up. No, I'm kidding. I think for this team, you have to look at what happened over the last 3 weeks. They were in the game with Kansas State late in the second half. They let it go. I don't know if that was fatigue. I don't know if I asked them about the difference in playing in the AAC and the Big 12. They said it wasn't that. Baylor, just 29 straight points in the third and fourth quarter. That was embarrassing. And then what happened at Kansas, they were just physically dominated. So if they can come out and play big boy football and line up against Oklahoma, go mano-a-mano for a few drives, that's a start. But I think if they get a start like that, it's going to, snowball and they'll be able to keep it somewhat of a close game. But Oklahoma's really good. I mean, that's the answer. I mean, if you're playing anybody in the Big 12 other than Oklahoma or Texas, at this point, you probably feel like you have a puncher's chance. Everybody's beating up on each other. It looks like nobody looks like that dominant team except for Oklahoma and possibly Texas. So I think you got to get out of there healthy first off. But I don't know what you can even take as a win, because this is not a team that takes moral victories, and they don't understand, especially the fan base, of a building block loss in the Big 12 in this first year. So I think the ultimate goal, you still have to zoom out and say, hey, get to 6 wins, get to a bowl. There is a path to 6, even with a loss Saturday. But I think they're past the moral victories. They've got to show up and they've got to play well enough to win the game. And whether they do or don't, that's going to be a big question. But they got to figure out if they do. That's the thing. They got to figure out if they can fit.
Appreciate your time, Daren. From the program guys, you make sure you stop at Logie's for a post-game adult beverage if you're so inclined. Also, Ray's Barbecue is an amazing stop for some barbecue if you're looking for a great barbecue. And the Mont is always a go-to in Norman as well. So
fantastic.
Check
hey, I covered Brent Venables at Clemson for several years. You guys have a heck of a coach out there. And I know that last year was what it was. But the way that he is just the most intense human being I think I've ever been around is pretty awesome. And I think that's going to serve him and the Sooners well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Appreciate that, Daren. Thank you so much for joining us. And you can follow Daren, give your socials, anything people can be on the lookout for you.
At Daren Stoltzfus on Twitter or X or whatever it's called today.
Whatever it is. Daren Stoltzfus, educating Oklahoma fans about the UCF Knights one tidbit at a time. We appreciate your time, Daren. Thanks, man.
3, 2, 1.
Once again, thank you so much to Daren Stoltzfus. Appreciate all of the insight into UCF. Also, shout out to Luke Hetrick, one of our first ever guests when Dylan Gabriel transferred to Oklahoma from UCF. Luke was on one of our first episodes, and he got us in touch with Daren to get him on the show this week. So thanks, Luke, for doing that. Appreciate that, man.
Love Luke to death. Shout out to Daren. Honestly, it is so refreshing to hear from someone who actually knows what they're talking about on this podcast versus the 5 of us goobers just goobing around. He is. It's good to have some good insight like that. And so, thank you, Mason, for hooking that all up. And man, great to have it this week. Honestly, it's a nice bonus for us.
Very nice, for sure. Okay, guys, score prediction time. What do you got for your final score prediction? Matt, we'll start with you. What do you got, man?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very similar score to Iowa State, where we won 50-20. I think UCF's going to come out, like you said, probably have a few gadget plays, maybe catch OU, slipping just a little bit coming after the bye week. So I'm going to go 48-21 48-17, and
Okay,
OU covers
wow.
48-17.
Good defensive performance. I like the way
Mhm.
you think, Matt or Mark. What do you got, man?
Even better defensive performance, 45-13. I just don't think it's
Woo!
Yeah, okay.
Love it. Love it.
I'm about
defense
it.
gave up 23 to Texas. They're not giving up that much to UCF.
Okay.
Sorry, to Central Florida.
Yeah.
The Golden Knights.
The Golden Knights. My final score prediction, OU 52, UCF 20. I think UCF can't score to keep pace, like I said. And OU is just going to, I think they're going to get out to a really big lead, like probably a 40-point lead and then coast to the end of the game. I think the entire fourth quarter is going to be the Jackson Arnold show, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see that. Let us know down below in the comments what your score prediction is. We read every single one of them. We would appreciate your score prediction as well. Okay, gentlemen, a new little segment that we're going to do for this week.
Fun little check-in.
So last week we did our report cards, positional report cards for the Oklahoma Sooners on the bye week.
Real fast.
Defense.
Cornerbacks.
Yeah, there you go.
Cornerbacks, A+. Safeties, A-. Linebackers. No, you know what? Cornerbacks, A. I'm sorry. Safeties, A-. Linebackers, A+. They're the only A+ on the defense, deservedly so. Danny's been incredible. He should win every award. Jaren has come on exactly like I wanted him to. Kip Lewis.
Yeah.
Kip Lewis,
man.
Cheetah, B+. A lot of guys have had to step in there, and they've all done very good jobs. Kendall Dolby, Peyton Bowen, and Dasan McCullough. And defensive line, I'm going to go solid B. We've seen a lot of good things, but again, last week was the first time we saw those guys actually get to the passer. So real fast, my grades.
So we have a little segment we want to do now that is, can OU run the table? And
We're all doing it, guys. We're all thinking it.
This isn't, folks, can
gonna do
OU
it.
win the national title? We're just looking at the regular season right now. We're asking us three and you, the listener, can OU win the remaining games on the regular season schedule and get to Arlington as an undefeated team? That's what we're asking right now. Because I believe at the beginning of the season, when we did record predictions, we can go back and find those. Did any of us have us going undefeated? I don't think we did.
I had us losing one, and that was Texas. And
Yeah.
we
Okay.
beat those guys.
Can't wait to hear what you say, Mark.
Yeah. So let's just get it started, Mark. What do you think? Can this team in its current form run the table, win their remaining, what is this? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, their remaining 6 games.
100%. And I think the expectation needs to be that they will. I don't think Brent Venables is going to allow the team, or Jerry Schmidt is going to allow the team to fall into any trap game stuff along the way. Last year was bad enough. And you hear about it was the biggest news after OU Texas, the 49 medicine balls that these guys did every day. Even though you got past Texas, that doesn't just leave your mind because you happen to beat that team. These guys worked very hard this offseason and very hard so far during the season to get to the point where they're at, where they really do control their future the rest of the way. Look, games are going to be hard. I expect Jalen Daniels to be playing for Kansas and going to Lawrence for that game. That's a test. If nothing else, that is a very real test. That's the game that I have circled the rest of the way now. I'm a little bit less worried about BYU than I was before. I'm a little bit less worried about TCU, except that redshirt freshman, Matt Gann. I'm going to need you to speak on that.
Watch out. Hoover's coming, man.
Oh my God.
Hoover is coming.
We're going to see you rocking purple the next few weeks.
We might.
No, I think 1, we can run the table. 2, we should run the table. 3, the expectation the players have will be to run the table. They know every game they go into, they're the better team and they should win it. So 12-0 is definitely on the table for me.
Matt Gann.
Man, Mark, I knew you were going there. I knew you were going that direction. They definitely have the real possibility after 6 weeks of football and coming out the way they play Texas. If they played the way they did Texas and play just lights out on both sides of the ball, they definitely have a realistic possibility. I don't think that's going to be real. I think the next 3 games after UCF are going to be tough. Going to at Lawrence, going to at Bedlam, and then coming back home to West Virginia, who's not playing that bad either. So those 3-game stretches right there, that's what I'm looking forward to. Can they play? Because they're going to get everyone's best shot every week. Like you said, Mason, those 3 teams have played pretty good football, and they're going to give everything they have against OU when they get their chance. So can this team perform each and every single week to their highest level? If they do that, definitely a realistic possibility. I think there's probably going to be one slip up in one of those games. I'm not exactly sure. Probably most likely Kansas, if they do have a healthy Jalen Daniels because of that run game in Lawrence. I think there's probably at least one slip up between those 3 games. Not too much worried about BYU and TCU, but that 3-game stretch going to Lawrence, Bedlam, and Stillwater, and then coming back to play West Virginia. So maybe one loss in there.
Yeah, I just have my eyes on Lawrence, on the game against Kansas. West Virginia, you're in Norman.
Rock Chalk Mason, of course he does.
I know, yeah, right. I have been Rock Chalk. I've been Rock Chalk.
Are y'all
Mason.
going to the game? Do you think you're going to the game?
We talked about it. We want to. The plan is in motion. Will we be able to make it work? It remains to be seen, but we would like to. For those of you who don't know,
we need boots on the ground.
For those who don't know the inside joke, my wife is a KU grad, so
what?
she yeah. But
love the team.
Yeah,
I spent time with Mason and Lawrence, and let me tell you guys, he was at home.
Thanks, appreciate that. Okay, but looking at the remaining schedule, Oklahoma State's a win, West Virginia's a win. What happened there, Mark? Okay,
I meant to mute.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I have UCF win, Kansas. I think it's a win. I really do. You're the better team. It'll be a tough game. It'll be one of their toughest games for sure, besides the Texas game. Oklahoma State's a joke. You win the West Virginia game. I think West Virginia started off hot, but they fell off. BYU is not the BYU team we thought they were to begin the year, and TCU is TCU. You know, they don't do anything for me as well. So yeah, I think if you don't go into Arlington 12-0, it might be a tad of a disappointment. You know, I feel like people might be surprised, and that's a good feeling, right? Like you should feel that way. You should expect to win every single game with the schedule you had. And they have every ability to do that. Everything is in front of them. And folks, the people who are already looking ahead to Arlington and thinking about the Texas game and scared for that Texas game, knowing you're going to get Texas's best shot, I'm here to tell you right now, you got Texas's best shot. You got it 2 weeks ago. That team's a good team. Don't get me wrong. You're better. You're a better team. So if you play up to your standard, you win that game again. You win that game again. I'm don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, would it be a tough game? 100%. I'm not here to say Texas sucks by any stretch of the imagination. They're a very good football team, but OU is a better one. So if you did play them again, I have every belief that you would not only go into the game undefeated, you go into the game favored to win the game. So
let's see how. I like how we started with, this isn't about getting to the college football playoff undefeated. It's just about getting to Arlington undefeated. Yeah. But then we got there too.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I was a little inebriated for the post game, but I truly do believe that if we do land on another rematch, if you're just looking at what we did last time, Oklahoma outplayed them on both sides of the football. Mm-hmm. There were special teams mistakes that really shifted the tide of that game. 10 points off the top of my head, that missed field goal, block punt contribute to the score being what it was. Mm-hmm. And we gave up 23 points on offense. That's the entire thing. That's the whole thing. I'll take that against Texas every single time. Are you telling me, Mark, wait, what are you talking about? You're saying we're going to run the table the whole way and possibly be the number one seed in the college football playoff? I'm telling you we will. I'm telling you that is what is going to happen. I'm saying unless Georgia also runs the table or one of the Big Ten teams run the table, and we expect some cannibalization there.
I think Michigan,
right?
Yeah.
If those teams, I would have Oklahoma number one right now, but that's That's
my
my
favorite
because Brock Bowers is injured. Like
Yeah.
if you don't
deal.
want to take
That's
that
a big
into
deal.
account, that's
That's a big
cool.
deal.
I get it, but that's the game, man. We haven't seen that offense work without working through him.
Dude, they talked about surgery for Brock Bowers. That's terrifying.
He
to
got
me.
surgery.
Yeah, that's
He
crazy.
underwent surgery and will
That's-
apparently play again this year.
That's nuts, man. I mean, he's an alien. Shout out to him. That's really impressive.
Monster.
But
The only
geez, that's
preseason
crazy.
Heisman bet I made, and now there's no way.
Oh,
But gosh
Dang,
darn,
that's tough. That's tough. I can't wait for the inevitable comments that we're gonna get that are people saying, guys, we have to take this 1 week at a time. Has to be 1 week at a time. We're not on the team. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not suiting up, guys. Look at me.
They don't think this way. The way that this team is ran, they are focused on UCF this week, and they don't even know who they play next week. They'll know who they play next week on Sunday. That's where their mindset is. You think this team's looking ahead to Arlington? They're not. We can, because we're not involved in the program, like in the locker room. We can have some fun and debate this stuff.
Coach Venables, if you listen to this and you want us to avoid it, let us know. But I think
I need
that
you
we're
to
probably
come on the
clear.
pod personally and tell us to avoid this, and then we will. So
Also send me the address for the save the dates, coach.
yeah.
Otherwise, they're just coming to the facility.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta figure that
They're
out.
coming.
But anything else to add on this little segment, guys?
Matt, I want to hear you expound a little bit more on what you think would come out of such a rematch, because yeah, I know. Look, great points about that stretch there. That's 2 away games and then a sneaky, difficult home game. I'm with you on that. Let's say we do get through it. You were at that Texas game. You know as well as anyone how physically dominant that team can be.
Yep.
What did you see last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago now, I guess, that, could lead to insight on a rematch?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's just hard playing a team twice. I think in the same year, kind of very similar to what we saw in 2018, where obviously Texas won the shootout, and then we ended up beating them in Arlington for that Big 12 championship. It's just hard to play a team twice because they know what you're going to run. They know how the schemes are going to be. Obviously, you can make some adjustments here or there, but Texas is a good football team. We can't discredit what they've done so far. Quinn Ewers is playing really well. They have a good offensive line. They got the best talent in the Big 12. I think we showed that obviously we're a much improved team. If we get there, which I think is obviously a realistic possibility with the schedule, it's just tough. Texas is a really, really good team, and it would be a really good football game, but it's just giving me similar vibes to what happened in 2018.
Let us know down below in the comments if you think OU can run the table. Mark, round us out.
Oh, really? Just fast, Matt, you didn't give an answer. Do we beat them or no?
I think
Mason
we
was
do.
pretty clear earlier that he thinks we do.
If we continue to play that we do, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I think the way DG is playing, absolutely, we definitely can beat them in our
question number 2 for everyone. Do we think that that's what the outcome is? Because if you gave me an over under of 0.5 on losses for the schedule for Oklahoma and Texas the rest of the way before Arlington, I would take that over. Just say, hey, 1 loss between the 2 teams feels not unlikely to me.
I don't think Texas loses again. I personally don't.
They got the easier schedule.
I don't think they. I don't
the
think
odds
they
are
lose.
fun.
Yeah, it is. It is fun, but to Matt's point, keep in mind that TCU game is an 11 a.m. Friday game. That's weird, man.
Weird.
That's weird.
Right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's just it's cringy. It's not comfortable.
It's gross.
I don't like it. And TCU is not a good football team, but that's some BS that'll get thrown your way that you won't be 100% focused, and maybe you fall down by 14 points at one point or 2 scores, and you're like, wait, what the hell's going on? Okay, we're better. Let's go play like it. And then you do. So I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. That in the if you get through the game against Kansas and you win that game convincingly, I don't think this team loses another game. And I'm including the Big 12 championship in that. I'm not talking college football playoff. I'm saying if they win that Kansas game in Lawrence and they win it convincingly, see, I'm booking my tickets. I'm just booking
Welcome to the dark side, baby.
Yeah, Mark's booking his too.
Mark's already got it, man. He sent us the link earlier this week, didn't you, Mark?
I sure did.
I would love to hear what Patrick and pessimistic Tyson would say about running this schedule.
Oh God, Ryan would be so annoying. He'd tell me to calm down and just be level headed. Shut up, you nerd. Come on.
Well, I mean, all right, let's just do it real fast. All right, let's just real quick for the fun of it. We're in the segment. All right, Georgia's 1 right now, Michigan 2, Ohio State 3, Florida State 4. I'm willing to bet we only get one Big Ten team.
Yeah.
So let's just pencil in one Big Ten team. I'm willing to bet maybe Florida State. If Florida State runs the table, they're in, right?
And I think they
Georgia.
do.
If Georgia runs the table, they're in. Don't like those odds, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's us or Washington if everyone runs the table. And does Florida State have to run the table? Not necessarily. I do think we end up with a Big Ten team no matter what. I think we end up with an SEC team no matter what.
I think you're right.
That ACC part could be Washington and then Oklahoma filling the fourth selection as well. I truly think with what we've seen so far, the defense we've seen so far playing real offenses, not playing nobody like Michigan has.
Nobody.
You know, you're putting up a real team. There's no reason why Oklahoma can't make that.
I think the Big Ten starts to get really.
This is me falling, breaking my ankles over my skis.
Welcome to the program roundup. This is where I think the Big Ten starts to cannibalize itself, and it's all eyes on Ohio State, Michigan. I honestly,
Penn State's not bad, man.
I think Penn State's going to get a couple people. I think Penn State's a problem in that conference. And they're going to piss a lot of people off because they're going to beat people who are in contention. And they're going to say, hey, we deserve to be in contention and do that. So that's an interesting piece to it as well.
I love Penn State. I think this weekend is going to tell us a lot at Ohio State going into Columbus. And if Drew Aller can play like he needs to, and the defense can hold up against the best wide receiving core in football, even if Kyle McCord's a freshman, that's still the best weapons we've seen.
Yeah.
And I like Penn State. We'll see about that one. I like Penn State a lot.
All right, boys, let's round out the show. PGP MVP of the week time for the people. Matt Gann, we'll start with you, man. Who you got?
Yeah, it's been a slow week. Obviously, a bye week for OU. I'm just going to go with this time of the year, fall time, the mecca for sports. Hockey coming in season, basketball right around the corner. Got some preseason action already. Obviously, got playoff baseball. My Rangers actually playing tonight. Not even sure what the score is, but they're 2 up in the series. Hopefully, they can continue doing that as well.
Rangers don't know the score. It's unreal.
I love it.
I'm focusing on the boys.
It's unreal.
Come on, man.
Okay.
But this is the mecca for all sports, college football, obviously NFL. I mean, this is the best time of the year, especially with the holidays coming up. I'm going to go fall time for my MVP and the mecca of sports.
Perfect. My MVP, Mark, will end with you. My MVP of the week is Kinsey Gaylor. She's the wife of Jinx High School football defensive coordinator Adam Gaylor. She was diagnosed with a rare form of breast cancer earlier this year. And she was honored at halftime of the game on Friday. She's finished her chemo. She's finished her radiation, had a double mastectomy, and she's officially cancer-free. So shout out to Kinsey Gaylor. That's awesome.
It was Breast Cancer Awareness Day a day or two ago.
I know. It was really cool.
That's amazing.
They honored her. They honored her at the coin toss. She was the captain of the game. It's just awesome. Just good to see, man. Cancer sucks, but when you have winning stories like that, I think it's important to hold on to the important ones for sure.
Absolutely. My mom beat breast cancer, and every single year there's a post, it's like, no, we're going to own this every single time, because if you don't own it, someone who's going through it isn't going to own theirs.
Yeah.
They have to know that, people have gone through this. They're strong enough. My MVP is just going to be the program guys. You guys held it down and had an awesome episode last weekend. I really enjoyed listening. Some of your rankings were absolutely absurd. I wish I was there to fight you on them, but not you guys necessarily. It's been days since I listened to all of them. Matt, some of yours were crazy. Who said D-line was A+?
No, I think it was Patrick. I think it was Patrick.
No, but that was a Patrick.
No, that was me.
I don't know. I think it was you. Matt,
it was Matt.
Get me in touch with your guy. That was crazy. But my MVP, the guys, they held it down. It was awesome. I loved listening to you guys. If you're not listening to the guys every single week, you have got to subscribe because it is so much fun. And I just enjoyed driving where I was going the other day, hanging out with the guys. The guys with a Z. The guys with a Z. It's with a Z. There's nothing better. I really do love you guys, and y'all did a great job last week.
Thank you, brother. Love you, and appreciate that. Be sure to like, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Trying to hit 2,000 subscribers. You can follow us on Twitter at Program Guys with a Z, Instagram Program Guys with a Z.
After Texas,
our Facebook page Program Guys Podcast, our TikTok at Program Guys with a Z, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that stuff, folks. We'll be back with you on Saturday or Sunday with your post-game pod. We have the program roundup coming up for you on Sunday or Monday. And then we'll be back next week previewing the next game. Be sure to tune in after the game on Saturday. Boomer Sooner. If you see us out there, say what's up.
Wear the merch. Wear the merch.
Wear the merch. If you got it, should be in the mail coming to you in just the next few days. So be on the lookout for that as well. That's going to do it. Mark, take us out.
Keep pushing it, baby.
The dramatic pause.
3, 2, 1, go!